seal faces down. Okay, once you've got it facing down, square the seal up. And then I like to use an arbor, but the back of the socket will work as well. This ensures that the seal is seated fully with no issues. Beautiful. Beautiful. What we can now do is grab our bell housing. As you'll note, it's a lot lighter than the old ZD model. We're also going to need some silicone and the longer bolts to fix them into place. There are 6 bolts. I believe they're 16mm head. Bell housing, in case you're wondering, this is where and how much I recommend. I place a small bead around the outside, and then I take a larger bead that is more than enough. You will then flip it over, slide it onto the gearbox, and use the supplied M12 bolts and spring washers to fix it into place. When you place it on, take care not to damage the shaft, and just remember that you're going to be seating onto the dowels. Alright, one of the things that bugs me in this kit, and don't get me wrong, it's a great bit of kit. One of the things that bugs me is this bracket here. So where a lot of people get caught, and this is the first part where a lot of people get caught, is when you slide this bracket on, as you can see, it's hitting the nuts before it's bottoming out. So you've got 2 options. You either grind a bit of the bottom bracket out or just grind the nuts shorter. Bear with me, I'll just knock the tops of those off so that it now snugs down quite nicely. So you'll see a lot of people having issues getting their clutch to bleed. Generally it comes down to one of a few things. The most critical of which is this pin in here is adjustable, where you can put more or less preload on this master cylinder. To adjust it, you every so slightly slide him out, clamp that with some clamps and tighten it in or out to adjust it. When you put it back in, be very, very careful and slide him back in until he seats. Make sure you do this with your clutch up. Make sure your pedal is all the way up, not on the floor like some people. What you want to have is about a 1mm gap. So with no pressure, square it up, you'll see you've got a bit of a gap. When you seat it, you can feel there's resistance pushing it back out. You want to have about 1 millimeter of gap before it gets into resistance. That way you ensure that there is no free play between the clutch booster and the clutch master. Once you have adjusted the rod and you're happy with it, put the original nuts back on, tighten it up, and we'll start running the clutch line. As you can see, sitting there nice and happy. Now the kicked end of the clutch line, I like to have up near the master end. You don't have to, but I found it sits a lot nicer against the body down the gearbox side. Run it out, down and in. Make sure you're using copper washers on both sides and snug them up with an 11mm. Just like this. Got him snugged, run it around and give it a little bit of a kick so you can access the brake bleeder, the clutch bleeder quite nicely. Next we'll slide our input shaft on to the gearbox, which is quite simple, literally just slide him on. And if you followed part 1 and part 2, we will be ready to drop the motor in.